Blackhawks win 3-2 in overtime to Utah. Finally, we get a win, and it's Frank the Tank in overtime. What a game. The stream was so fun tonight. If you're new here, welcome to the Blackhawks Conversation. I'm here after every single Chicago Blackhawks game, doing an in-depth analysis post-game show. I'm also live right here on YouTube for every single Chicago Blackhawks game, and tonight's stream was just a blast. It was so much fun. Great win, great game. So many great individual performances and storylines out of this game. So let's jump right into it. I mean, great game. Let's go over the goals here. Utah scores the first goal of the game. It's a defensive zone faceoff that Nazar loses. Levshinov tries to get it around the boards for Tavo. It's on his backside, can't get it out. Utah cycles the puck around, shot from the point gets deflected in. And I don't blame Drew Comesso on that one at all. It's a high deflection um, on a face off that you know. Did I say he lost the face off on a one face off that you couldn't get out? Um, but then Chicago ties it up um, pretty shortly after in the first period. It was a great play by Donato to just throw the puck on net, and a great play by Mangiapane to go to the net. It hits off Mangiapane into the net. It's a 1-1 game, and Andrew Mangiapane, who, much to my surprise, I said it in the trade video, I wanted him in Rockford. Much to my surprise, has been a great addition to the Blackhawks. I've loved his game so far. He does everything that Jeff Blashill preaches. He goes hard to the net. He plays with speed. He plays physical. His heart's in it. He plays like he wants to be there and he wants to win. And he. I find that he's always in the middle of those scrums, so he's got a bit of a chip on his shoulder too. And I really like what I'm seeing out of Andrew Mangiapane. So I really liked his game tonight. Unfortunately, Utah would take the lead again not too long after that. Um, Vlasic can't get it out. He skates it up the boards, tries to put it off the boards and out. There's two Mammoth there. They keep it in. It's an in tight 2-on-1. Crevier dives, but it was just a perfectly placed pass from Clayton. Perfectly placed pass from Clayton Keller. I mean, Clayton Keller's unreal. It was a perfect pass, and it was a tap in on an in tight 2-on-1. So we get out of the first period 2-1 Utah, shots 8-6 Chicago, and I honestly liked how they played. And we get to the second period, and I thought they played really well. Nothing. Or sorry, they tie it up in the second period. Um, and this was a goal that was a much needed Andre Burakovsky goal. Bedard has a nice opportunity. His shot gets deflected wide, banks off the backboards, comes out back near the front of the net, and Burakovsky. What a goal by Andre Burakovsky. It was behind the net, and he corralled it on his stick like a Michigan and pulled it around into the net. It looked like a Michigan, essentially, is what it was. And it was just a highly skilled goal, and it was a much needed goal. You could see it on his face, looking up at the skies with a huge smile. All the teammates were all over him. Everyone was so happy for him. They knew he needed that one. You could just see the relief on his face. He's skating to the bench and he's doing this on his way to the bench. You can just see how much he needed that one. And I thought he had a really good game tonight. He drew the penalty in overtime that led to the game winner. I thought Andre Burakovsky had a good night, and he's strung together a few games lately now that have been just okay, not great. He's sort of gotten away from that horrendous play we saw for a long time lately, and he's strung together a few decent games. And tonight was a good game, and I'm really hoping that that goal sparks something for him because it wasn't just a fluky goal. It wasn't just any goal. That was a highly skilled goal scorer's goal. So I'm really hoping that that propels him even more forward because if we can get Andre Burakovsky on his game and get that whole line clicking again, because Bedard and Green haven't stopped working great together. So if we can get Bedard, Green, and Burakovsky all playing great again together, I think we could see a really strong finish to the year, specifically from Connor Bedard, but from all three of those guys. And we could potentially see Connor Bedard playing at that 120 point pace he was playing at to start the year when Andre Burakovsky was on his game. People talk a lot about Bedard and how the way he played at the beginning of the year, and lots of credit to Bedard for that, but a lot of credit also goes to Andre Burakovsky with how he was playing on his wing. I said it on stream tonight. Andre Burakovsky is definitely the most skilled player that Bedard has ever consistently had on his line, and So we need more than ever for Andre Burakovsky to get that game back. Hawks lead 19-14 in shots at the end of the second. Utah pushes late, but we go to the third period tied. Um, and nothing really happens. Green gets a penalty less than or about a minute into the third period. They kill it off. Green had a really nice pass to Bedard, feather pass. Bedard got robbed, which reminds me, Vitek Vanacek had an unreal night, and the Hawks were the better team all night. And Vanacek played so well, not only to get his team to overtime, but this game could have been 6-2 Chicago. If 6-2, 7-2 Chicago, if it wasn't for Vitek Vanacek. Sorry, pardon me. He played unbelievable, and it wasn't so much that the Hawks severely outplayed Utah, but it was just the quality of chances Chicago had. They had so many grade A looks, and Vitek Vanacek stood on his head and played unbelievable and made a lot of really good saves. And we get to overtime, and I posed the question to the chat going into overtime, like, okay, who do you put out there for the draw, for the face-off? Because Bedard's having a good night on draws, but someone who's having an even better night is Frank Nazar. And I thought, okay, I bet they put Nazar out for the draw. Nazar out for the draw, sorry. They ended up putting Ryan Donato out on the draw, who wasn't having an overly great night on the dot. He loses the faceoff. Utah has possession for a while. Drew Comesso has to make two pretty good saves in overtime. And then Andre Burakovsky gets a shift. He draws a penalty, sends Chicago to the power play. And Frank the Tank, Frank Nazar, just a beautiful shot, gets Bedard his second assist of the night, and the Hawks win. The crowd goes crazy. Frank Nazar pulls out the celly from his first NHL goal, the hands, the pulling the hair back celebration, just unreal. What a game. Power play was clicking. Power play had some good looks. They were 1 for 4 tonight. Penalty kill was on fire, 2 for 2 tonight. So that's exactly what you want. You want penalty kill at 100% and your power play clicking at 25%. So a great night for the special teams. Um, I thought Connor Bedard had one of his better games in a long time. He had 2 assists tonight. He was physical. He had 4 hits. He played 21:06 time on ice. He had 5 shots on goal, 11 shot attempts, 7 and 7 on the dot, 50% on the faceoff. He was unbelievable. He was all over it tonight. We saw that bite to his game that he had at the beginning of the year. Now that the A's back on his jersey, I keep saying I think when he has a letter on his jersey, it unlocks that bite and that fight in his game that he had tonight. So he was unreal tonight. 2 points for him. And that was a really great bounce back night face off wise. And the team all together had a really good night on the dot tonight. After going 32% over the last 2 games, they were great on the face off dot tonight. What exactly were they as a team? They won 27 faceoffs, lost 24. So they as a team had a really good night on the dot, which is great to see. And Frank Nazar too. Frank Nazar won 8 out of 10 faceoffs, 80% on the dot for Nazar. 1 goal, like I said, 2 shots on goal. He played 20 minutes, 40 seconds time on ice, and a block. Frank Nazar had a really good game. And if you guys remember, in overtime, he had a breakaway and he fumbled it on the breakaway. And I called it on the stream. You can go back and check. I said Frank Nazar scoring on this power play to make up for that fumble, and he did. And speaking of Frank Nazar, I saw this on Twitter from Hattie on Twitter. Frank Nazar's last 4 games, 2 goals, 4 assists, 53.5% on the dot, a 4 game point streak, 2 multi-point games, and an OT winner. I think Frank Nazar is back, and I said it a while ago. He needs to finish this year strong. It's crucial that he finishes this year strong. And man, his last 4 games have been unbelievable. So if he can keep that up, he's clicking again with Tavo and Burt. If he can keep that up, and if Burakovsky can get going, you're going to have Bedard and Nazar, sorry, finish this year really strong, which is much needed for this team. And like I said, Andre Burakovsky also had a great night. 1 goal, drew the penalty in overtime. And how about Drew Comesso? I posed the question to the chat in the stream, and I'll pose it to you guys now in the video. Let me know in the comments. Do you think the Hawks, if you could decide, if you were Kyle Davidson, would you bring Drew Comesso up here now to back up Knight for the rest of this year and onward into next year? I think I would. We know what Soderblom is. We also know that he's not a long-term solution to the backup role. Drew Comesso is. I think the plan has to be for Drew Comesso to be your backup. in for the long term here. And tonight he was great. He stopped 22 of 24, a 917 save percentage, and he has played unbelievable in 2 of his 3 games here in the NHL. And not only do I think he's NHL ready, but I think he has a really bright future. Not just as potentially the backup tonight, but this guy could be a starter in the NHL one day. I mean, before we got Spencer Knight, this was the guy. Drew Commesso was our future starter. So I would love to see him up here. And I mentioned before with Bedard's physicality, it was the whole team. Bedard had 4 hits tonight. Levshinov had 3 hits, and Renzel had 2 hits. There's a train going by my house. I apologize if you can hear it. It's laying on the horn. But the team was physical tonight, and it just reminds me of that Anaheim game where Bedard was chirping at the bench after the empty netter. Just that bite to these guys' game that they had at the beginning of the year that we've so badly wanted them to get back. It felt like that again tonight, and it was just an unbelievable game. Special shout out to Vlasic too. I thought he had an unbelievable game as well. I mean, Sam Renzel also played well. He was skating uh, so well all night, and just a great game all around. And um, I think it's time we take to Twitter and answer some viewer questions. So after every Blackhawks game, I take to Twitter. Follow me over there at Ryan McGregor CHI. I take to Twitter after every game and I ask if anybody has any questions. We have a few questions today. Calvin says, "Am I the best Calvin you know?" Absolutely, without a doubt. It's not even a contest. Next one is from Pablo. He says, "Is there a plan to get Lardis some more looks up in the lineup?" Obviously, I don't know what the Hawks' plan is, but I will say my opinion on it. If you read my article on blackhawksconversation.com, the preview that I released this morning, in my projected lines, I actually had Lardis on the top line because I thought they were going to put Green back down to the third line with the absence of Moore to even out that center depth. They ended up keeping Lardis on the fourth line, and my take on it is if you're going to keep Lardis on the fourth line, just send him to the AHL. It doesn't do much for him to be playing on the fourth line. He played 7-18 tonight. It doesn't do much for him playing 7 minutes on the fourth line with no disrespect, but with Sam Lafferty and Landon Slaggert. It doesn't do nearly as much as what playing top minutes in Rockford would do. Now, I want him up here. I do, but I want him up here in a at least a top 9 role. At least get him third line time and second power play time. I want him in the top 6, but honestly, after tonight, the top 6 is kind of clicking. So maybe keep that going forward. But if you're going to have him up here, have him in the top 9, have him get secondary power play time at the very least. But if you're not going to give him that, I want him back down in Rockford. But I do believe that the plan is to keep him up here in Chicago. I could be wrong, but that's just my speculation. And the last question we have here is from Blackhawks Enjoyer the Third. Is Frankie Styles back? He is absolutely back. I think it is completely safe to say. Again, he didn't have a perfect game. People are going to bring up that fumble in overtime, but it happens to everybody. Everybody has bad plays every once in a while, but 6 points in his last 4 games, 4 game point streak, OT winner, 53% on the dot. Frank Nazar's back. What a game. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Like I said, if you're new here, I am here after every single Chicago Blackhawks game doing an in-depth post-game analysis. I'm also live right here on YouTube for every single Chicago Blackhawks game. And I just launched Blackhawksconversation.com, the official website. The link is in the description. You should definitely check that out. Not only are all the post games on there, short form content's on there, articles are on there. It's just a fun time. So go check it out. Let me know what you think of the website. Let me know what you thought of this game. I will be back for the next game. The Blackhawks take on the Mammoth again, this time in Utah. I will be back live right here on YouTube for that. I'll see you then.